I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion. I hate it. I hate everything it stands for. I cringe when I listen to people debating the subject. But I just believe in choice. But I'm pro-life.
You're pro-life, but you do think that there should be exceptions for rape and incest.
Yes, and life, the health of the mother, the death.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion, yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
We got it back to the states. We did the Roe v. Wade thing, which they've been trying to get it done for 50 years. I got it done. I believe in the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I believe in that. Without the exceptions, it is very difficult to win elections.
Would
you sign federal legislation that would ban abortion at 15 weeks?
No, let me just tell you what I do. I'm going to come together with all groups, and we're going to have something that's acceptable. I mean, DeSantis is willing to sign a 5-week and 6-week ban.
Would you support that? You think that goes too far?
I think what he did is a terrible thing and a terrible mistake.
Partial birth abortion, the eliminating of abortion in the 3rd trimester, big issue in Washington. Would President Trump ban partial birth abortion?
Well, look, I'm very pro-choice. I hate the concept of abortion. I hate it. I hate everything it stands for. I cringe when I listen to people debating the subject. But I just believe in choice. And again, it may be a little bit of a New York background because there is some different attitude in different parts of the country. And, I was raised in New York and grew up and work and everything else in New York City. But I am strongly for choice, and yet I hate the concept of abortion.
But you would not ban it?
No.
Or ban partial birth abortion?
No, I am pro-choice in every respect and as far as it goes, but I just hate it.
You sent Senator Cruz a cease and desist letter to the campaign about an ad they're running that features an old interview you did with Tim Russert back in the late 90s.
Long time ago.
Yeah, when you were
many years
when
ago.
you were pro-choice, you are now say your position has completely changed. You are
Yes.
pro-life, and you're adamant about that.
Well, I'm pro-life, and I have
What
been
does that mean
pro-life.
to you?
Well, it means it's an issue. I mean, it is an issue, and it's a strong issue.
Abortion, even in pregnancy, early in a pregnancy, is murder to you?
No, what I'm saying is this, with caveats, life of the mother, incest, rape, and that's where I stand. And it's so I'm pro-life, but with the caveats, and you have to have with the caveats.
Right.
So it's pro-life. Just because it's the first time you've asked me this question.
Uh-huh. Well, that's
and
it's event. A lot of people here care
right.
about the issue.
That's right. So it's pro-life, right? But it's life of the mother, very important, incest and rape.
Okay. So say a woman is pregnant and it's not in any of those exception categories, and she chooses to have an abortion.
Depends when. It depends when.
Well,
it
so
depends when.
Well,
but the answer is, if it's not in those,
let's say early in her pregnancy.
excuse me, if it's not in those, I'm pro-life.
Yeah.
Mark, very simple. Pro-life.
So if you're against same-sex marriage, would you like to see states or the federal government outlaw it?
No. What's happening is states are going to make the decision. I think what will happen is states will end up making the decision.
And that's what should happen.
Now, we have to see what happens with the Supreme Court, because they're going to start coming down with rulings. Probably right now they've taken the easy way out, and they've been taking the easy way out. But at some point they're going to come down. But as of this moment, I am totally, it's a states' right issue.
At the time, you said that you were pro-choice. Now you've changed, right?
Not strongly, but I am pro-life. I had an experience with a friend of mine who was, frankly, they were going to abort their child, which they ended up having, and their child is like this magnificent person, and it had an impact. I've seen that now a couple of times with other people, but I'm pro-life.
You're pro-life, but you do think that there should be exceptions for rape and incest.
Yes, and life, the health of the mother, the death, because you have some cases where the mother may die. It's basically Ronald Reagan had the same thing. He had the 3 exceptions.
If you are the Republican nominee, you would be the effective leader of the Republican Party. Would you make sure that that exception or those exceptions would be in the Republican Party platform?
Well, I think it would be something I would discuss very seriously with the people in the Republican Party. I'm actually getting along very well with the people at RNC right now. And I think that would be something certainly we would be discussing. I do agree with, Ronald Reagan was a long time ago. He was somebody that liked me a lot. I liked him a lot. I helped him a little bit. And he had the exceptions also. It would certainly be something I'd want to discuss. Well, look, as you know, I'm pro-life, right? I think you know that.
with exceptions, with the 3 exceptions. But pretty much that's my stance. Is that okay? You understand?
What should the law be on abortion?
Well, I have been pro-life.
I know. What should the law? I know your principle. That's a good value, but what should be the law?
They've set the law, and frankly, the judges, and I mean, you're going to have a very big election coming up for that reason, because you have judges where it's a real tipping point. And with the loss of Scalia, who was, a very strong conservative, this presidential election is going to be very important, because when you say what's the law, nobody knows what the law is going to be. It depends on who gets elected, because somebody's going to appoint conservative judges and somebody's going to appoint liberal judges depending on who wins.
I've never understood the pro-life position.
Well,
I never understood it, because I understand the principle. It's human life as people see it. But what crime? What crime is it?
Well, it's human life.
No, should the woman be punished for having an abortion?
Look.
This is not something you can dodge. If you say abortion is a crime or abortion is murder, you have to deal with it under the law. Should abortion be punished?
Well, people in certain parts of the Republican Party and conservative Republicans would say yes, they should be punished.
How about you?
I would say that it's a very serious problem, and it's a problem that we have to decide on. It's very hard.
But you're for banning it.
Are you going to say, well, wait, are you going to say put them in jail? Is that the punishment
what I'm asking
that you're talking about?
Because you say you want to ban it. What's that mean?
I am pro-life, yes.
What is ban? How do you ban abortion? How do you actually do it?
Well, you'll go back to a position like they had, where people will perhaps go to illegal places.
Yeah.
But you have to ban it.
You ban it and they go to somebody who flunked out of medical school.
Are you Catholic?
Yes, I think
And how do you feel about the Catholic Church's position?
I accept the teaching authority of my church on moral issues.
But do you know their position on abortion?
Yes, I do.
And do you concur with that position?
I concur with their moral position, but legally I get to the question. Here's my problem with it.
No, but let me ask you, but what do you say about
It's not funny.
Your church? Yeah, it's really not a funny thing. What do you say about your church? They're very, very strong.
They're allowed to, but the churches make their moral judgments, but you running for president of the United States will be chief executive of the United States. Do you believe believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
10 cents, 10 years,
I don't know. That I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know.
You take positions and everything else.
Frankly, I do take positions and everything else. It's a very complicated position.
But you say bluntly you're pro-life, meaning you want to ban it.
But the Catholic Church is pro-life.
No, let's not talk about my religion.
But no, I am talking about your religion. Your religion, I mean, you say you're a very good Catholic.
I didn't say very good. I said I'm a Catholic. And secondly, I'm asking, you're running for president, I'm not. I'm asking you, what should a woman face if she chooses to have an abortion?
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play that game.
You said you're pro-life.
I am pro-life.
That means banning abortion.
And so is the Catholic Church pro-life.
But they don't control this isn't Spain. We don't control the church doesn't control the government.
What is the punishment under the Catholic Church? What is the punishment?
Let me give you something from the New Testament. Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. Don't ask me about my religion.
No,
I'm asking you. You want to be president of the United States. You tell me what the law should be. Just tell me what the law should be. You say you're pro-life.
I am pro-life.
What's that mean?
With exceptions. I am pro-life. I have not determined what the punishment would be.
Why not?
Because I haven't determined it.
When you decide to be pro-life, you should have thought of it. Because
no, you could ask anybody that's pro-life.
Here's the problem. Here's my problem with this. If you don't have a punishment for abortion, I don't believe in it, of course, people are going to find a way to have an abortion.
You don't believe in what? You don't believe in what?
I don't believe in punishing anybody for having an abortion.
Okay, fine. Okay, that's
fine. Of course not. And I think it's a woman's choice.
So you're against the teachings of your church?
I believe I have a view, and a moral view, but I believe we live in a free country, and I don't want to live in a country so fascistic that it can stop a person from making that decision.
But then that
would be so invasive.
But I've
so
heard
determinative of a society that I wouldn't be one we're familiar with. And Donald Trump, you wouldn't be familiar with a society like that.
But I've heard you speaking so highly about your religion and your church.
Yeah.
Your church is very, very strongly, as you know, pro-life.
I know.
What do you say to your church?
I say, I accept your moral authority. In the United States, the people make the decisions, the courts rule on what's in the Constitution, and we live by that. That's what I say.
Yeah, but you don't live by it because you don't accept it. You can't accept it. You can't accept it. You can't accept it.
Can we go back to matters of the law and running for president? Because matters of the law, what I'm talking about, and this is the difficult situation you placed yourself in. By saying you're pro-life, you mean you want to ban abortion. How do you ban abortion without some kind of sanction? Then you get into that very tricky question of a sanction. A fine on human life, which you call murder.
It'll have to be determined.
A fine of imprisonment for a young woman who finds herself pregnant.
It will have to be determined.
What about the guy that gets her pregnant? Is he responsible under the law for these abortions? Or is he not responsible for an abortion decision?
It hasn't. Different feelings, different people.
Yeah.
I would say no.
Yeah, well,
let me ask you a question about abortion. What would you do to further restrict women's access to abortions as president?
Well, look, I mean, I know where you're going, and I just want to say, a question was asked to me, and it was asked in a very hypothetical, and it was said, illegal. I've been told by some people that was a older line answer, and that was an answer that was given on a basis of an older line from years ago, on a very conservative basis. But
your original answer, you mean?
My original, but
I
was asked as a hypothetically, the laws are set now on abortion, and that's the way they're going to remain until they're changed.
Because you had said you wanted, you told Bloomberg in January that you believed abortion should be banned at some point in pregnancy. Where would you?
Well, first of all, I would have liked to have seen this be a states' rights. I would have preferred states' rights. I think it would have been better if it were up to the states. But right now the laws are set, and that's the way the laws are.
But do you have a feeling how they should change? There are a lot of laws you want to change. You've talked about them on everything from libel to torture. Anything you'd want to change on abortion?
At this moment, the laws are set, and I think we have to leave it that way.
Do you think it's murder, abortion?
I have my opinions on it, but I'd rather not comment on it.
You said you're very pro-life. Pro-life view is that it's abortion.
Yeah,
abortion is murder.
But I mean, I do have my opinions on it. I just don't think it's an appropriate forum.
But you don't disagree with that proposition, that it's murder?
What proposition?
That abortion is murder.
No, I don't disagree with it.
Abortion.
Yeah.
At 1999, to Tim Russert, you were very pro-choice with your words, although you said you didn't like it.
Well, that's true. That's a very important thing.
No, I
said I'm very pro-choice, but really, just before that, they never play that.
I said it. I read it. I said it.
I was pained, but when they show it, because if they would go like 10 seconds before, I was pained when I said it. I was like, oh, I really don't like it. Then I said very polite, but I am pro-life.
Okay, so 2015, you made the public announcement that you're pro-life.
And I said why.
And then this last week, it's been all over the map. At one point, you said that you would punish the woman.
All over the map.
Well, okay, all right, then correct it for me. Tell me what you're thinking.
Look, I'm pro-life. Ronald Reagan was pro-life, with the exceptions, okay? Life of the mother, as you know, rape, incest. So with the three exceptions. That was Ronald Reagan, and that's been me. And it's been me for quite a period of time. Then when they ask questions about, different things, or they ask theoretical questions in theory, if you did this, and if you did that, and if you did that. And interestingly, the question that was asked to me, I've had so many, you talk about Twitter, so many people on Twitter, and so many, Robert Jeffress, who is a fantastic guy, who's on your show, Pastor Jeffress. He was saying, what an answer. That was a good answer. So many people said good answer, but I wanted to, frankly, look, nobody's going to do more for women than me. Nobody respects women more than me. And I took that answer, and I didn't like it because I think a lot of people didn't understand it. Women go through a lot. They go through a tremendous punishment of themselves. And I didn't like because I wasn't sure if people would understand it. So I clarified it. But it was just a clarification, and I think it was well accepted. It was such a great victory, and people are starting to understand it now. You know that they wanted to bring it back to the states, but that was probably the least important part of that victory. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was an incredible thing for pro-life because it gave pro-life something to negotiate with. Pro-life had absolutely nothing being stuck in Roe v. Wade to negotiate with. And now what's happening, and I see it all over, deals are being made, deals are going to be made, and look, everybody that was president wanted to get rid and tried to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
You mean
for 50
Republicans?
years. Republicans. For 50 years, this has been going on. Actually, a couple of Democrats, too. But for 50 years, this has been going on. I was able to do it, and I was very honored to do it. But by doing it, things are happening that are very, very positive. And I happen to believe in the exceptions, the life of the mother, rape, incest, like Ronald Reagan believed in the exceptions. But I happen to believe that. I think it's frankly important to do that, but a lot of people are, against that. A relatively small number. But the way I look, I think it's very important to say this. I consider the other side to be radical because the other side, under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will. Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? They said, rip the baby out of the womb at the end of the 9th month. They will kill the baby in the 9th month. if you look at that crazy governor of Virginia from the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute the baby.
But, Mr. President, can we talk about what you would do if
these are the radical people. It's not the pro-life people that are radical.
But if you are reelected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy. But the fact that I was able, I'm so proud of it. We put 3 great justices on the Supreme Court. We have almost 300 federal judges on the Supreme Court.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you would sign a federal abortion ban into law.
I said this. I want to do what's right, and we're looking, and we want to do what's right for everybody.
But what's right?
But now, for the first time, the people that are pro-life have negotiating capability, because you didn't have it before. They could kill the baby in the 9th month or after the baby was born. Now they won't be able to do that.
But I think this is a really important question for you to answer, because this is something every Republican, including those who are running against you for the nomination, are being asked about, is would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
And many of them are going to give you the same answer as I am. First of all, I am honored to have done what I did. And a lot of people said, in 150 years, he's now the most consequential president because he saved so many lives. And I'm honored to have done it. And because of what I've done, we now have a great negotiating ability. That's what I do in life. I negotiate. We have a great negotiating ability, and I think we're going to be able to get something done.
But what do you mean negotiating ability? Because the question that Republicans have, and some of your allies on Capitol Hill say that they want to introduce legislation when it comes to banning abortion. If they send it to your desk, would you sign it?
Some people are at 6 weeks. Some people are at 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Where's President Trump?
President Trump is going to make a determination what he thinks is great for the country and what's fair for the country. But the fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying, they worked for 50 years. I've never seen anything like it. They worked, and I was so honored to have done it. We are in a very good negotiating position right now, only because of what I was able to do. And remember this, again, you talk about radicalism. People that will kill a baby in the 9th month or the 8th month or the 7th month or after the baby is born, they're the radicals, not the pro-life.
I just want to give you one more chance, though, because you did not answer whether or not you'd sign a federal abortion ban or how many weeks into pregnancy you believe abortion should be banned.
Yeah, but I've given you the answer probably 4 times already.
Which one is it,
I'm looking at a solution that's going to work. Very complex issue for the country. You have people on both sides of an issue. But we are now in a very strong position. Pro-life people are in a strong position to make a deal that's going to be good and going to be satisfactory for them. If you weren't able to get rid of, you wouldn't even be having a discussion. If you weren't able to get rid of Roe v. Wade, which put pro-life in a dead position, a horrible position, they could kill the baby at any time they wanted to. But we did something that nobody thought was doable. And other Republican presidents, and others, by the way, they wanted to get it out. They also wanted to bring it back to the states. But bringing it back to the states is a less important issue than the issue that we just talked about.
But that's why it's the question about a federal abortion ban. You did not say yes or no to that. You did not say how many weeks.
It depends what the deal is. Lindsey Graham's a good man. He's got an idea, and a lot of other people have an idea. And I look at all the different ideas,
and a lot of people will be curious what your idea is on that.
I got us out of the Roe v. Wade, where the pro-life people had absolutely nothing to say. And if you talk about radical, the radical are the people that want to kill the baby literally after birth.
How is it acceptable in America that women's lives are at risk, doctors are being forced to turn away patients in need, or risk breaking the law?
Ready? A little bit of a long answer. I hope you have time.
I hope you have time. Okay. I'm here for as long as you have.
So you have Roe v. Wade. For 52 years, people, including Democrats, wanted it to go back to states so that states could make the right. Roe v. Wade, I did something that nobody thought was possible, and Roe v. Wade was terminated, was put back to the states. Now, people, pro-lifers, have the right to negotiate for the first time. They had no rights at all. Because the radical people on this are really the people, the Democrats, that say after 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, and even after birth, you're allowed to terminate the baby.
Democrats aren't saying that. I just have to. Democrats are not saying that.
Of course
they
do.
That's not true.
You have a Virginia governor, previous governor, who said after the baby is born, you will make a determination, and if you want, you will kill that baby. The baby is now born.
Democrats writ large are not talking about that. Only 1% of late-term abortions happen, and always in this state of
They are
crisis.
the radical people, because nobody wants to see abortion after 5 months and 6 months and 7 months. And now it gave people that believe in pro-life, look, just so you understand, it's pretty much 50-50. It's a 50-50 issue. Amazing. If you look at the charts, it's been 49-51. It's been like that for many years. Goes both ways. 51, both ways. Ready? I was able to do something which gave at least pro-life people a voice. Now it's going to work out. Now, the number of months will be determined. And you're going to have something where everybody comes together.
Does it bother you, though, that women say their lives are being put at risk? Do you feel you bear any responsibility? Because, as you say, you are responsible.
What's going to happen, this is an issue that's been going on for a long time, and it's a very polarizing issue. Because of what's been done and because of the fact we brought it back to the states, we're going to have people come together on this issue. They're going to determine the time, because nobody wants to see 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Nobody wants to see abortions when you have a baby in the womb. I said with Hillary Clinton when we had the debate, I made a statement, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month. You're allowed to do that, and you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Again, no one is arguing for that. That's not a part of anyone's platform, Mr. President.
The Democrats are able to kill the baby after birth.
Let me talk to you.
Nobody wants that.
Democrats don't want that
So
either.
we're going to come together.
I want to know what you want. I want to know what you're going to do if you're
We
reelected.
are going to come
Would you sign
together.
federal legislation that would ban abortion at 15 weeks?
No. Let me just tell you what I do. I'm going to come together with all groups, and we're going to have something that's acceptable. Right now, to my way of thinking, the Democrats are the radicals, because after 4 and 5 and 6 months, but you have to say this, after birth. You have New York State and other places that pass legislation where you're allowed to kill the baby after birth.
Mr. President, I want to give voters who are going to be weighing in on this election a very clear sense of where you stand on
I think they're all going to like me. I think both sides are going to like me.
What's
going to have to happen is you're going to have to,
listen,
you're asking me a question. What's going to happen is you're going to come up with a number of weeks or months. You're going to come up with a number that's going to make people happy, because 92% of the Democrats don't want to see abortion after a certain period of time.
If a federal ban landed on your desk, if you were reelected, would you sign it at 15
Are you
weeks?
talking about a complete ban?
A ban at 15 weeks.
Well, people are starting to think of 15 weeks. That seems to be a number that people are talking about right now.
Would you sign that?
I would sit down with both sides and I'd negotiate something, and we'll end up with peace on that issue for the first time in 52 years. I'm not going to say I would or I wouldn't. I mean, DeSantis is willing to sign a 5-week and 6-week ban.
Would you support that? You think that
I
goes
think what
too
he
far?
did is a terrible thing and a terrible mistake. But we'll come up with a number. But at the same time, Democrats won't be able to go out in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months and allow an abortion. And, Kristen, you have to look at this, because you said no. You have some states that are allowed to kill the child after birth, and you can't allow that.
But, Mr. President, again, no one is calling for a child to be killed after birth. No one's calling for that.
But you
to
have
be allowed.
legislation.
But let me just ask you.
Kristen, you have legislation in certain states where it's allowed.
Mr. President.
The governor of Virginia, previous governor, who was a whack job. I call him the Michael Jackson governor.
No one's talking about that
governor,
as part of their platform. I want to know what
that governor said you can kill the baby after birth.
But, Mr. President, this is about what you would do if you were reelected. As you know, you upset
We
some
will agree to a number of weeks, which will be where both sides will be happy. We have to bring the country together on this issue.
Mr. President, when you talk about negotiating, I think a lot of people think to themselves, this is an issue that they care about deeply in their hearts. They know where they stand, and they want to know where you stand. As you know, some anti-abortion groups are really looking for some clarity from you. So let me just ask you to put a fine point on this. Should the federal government impose any abortion restrictions, or should it be completely left up to the states?
No, I don't think you should be allowed to have abortions well into a pregnancy.
But what about the question I just asked you?
No, we're going to agree to a number of weeks or months or however you want to define it. And both sides are going to come together, and both sides, and this is a big statement, both sides will come together, and for the first time in 52 years, you'll have an issue that we can put behind us.
At the federal level?
It could be state or it could be federal. I don't frankly care.
So you're not committed to a ban at the federal level?
I will say this. Everybody, including the great legal scholars, love the idea of Roe v. Wade terminated so it be brought back to the states.
It sounds like that's what you think, too, that it should remain a state issue.
I would say this. From a pure standpoint, from a legal standpoint, I think it's probably better, but I can live with it either way. It's much more important. The number of weeks is much more important. But something will happen with the number of weeks, the amount of time, after which you can't do it. And you know what? The most powerful people that are anti-abortion are okay with that now. And you know what? They weren't okay with that even a year ago.
Your former Vice President, Mike Pence, believes that a fetus should have constitutional rights. Do you believe that, Mr. President?
Well, Mike Pence said something about 15 weeks, too, which was a big change for Mike Pence because Mike Pence had no exceptions. I have exceptions, by the way. I think people should have exceptions. I think if it's rape or incest or the life of the mother, I think you have to have exceptions.
Does a fetus have constitutional rights, Mr. President?
And a lot of people, when they don't have exceptions. Now, I will tell you that I think most people, most Republicans are willing. You go life of the mother, rape, incest. I think most of them are there.
But should a fetus have constitutional rights, Mr. President?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what he's saying because before he wanted, you couldn't have abortion.
But what are you saying?
Now all of a sudden,
do you think?
Excuse me. Now all of a sudden he's saying 15 weeks. I said, wow, where did that come from? That's a radical change. Look, something is going to happen that's going to be good for everybody. And that's what I'm almost like a mediator in this case. They wanted Roe v. Wade terminated because it was inappropriate. We got it done. Something is going to happen. It's going to be a number of weeks. Something's going to happen where both sides are going to be able to come together. And then we'll be able to go into other things like the economy, our military.
Are you saying a federal ban with exceptions? Is that what you're saying?
What I say is very simple, because you can't put words in my mouth like that. Because you've been hearing me talk about this issue, and I think talk about it very productively. It could be a state ban. It could be a federal ban. But Democrats want that, too. Democrats don't want to see abortion in the 7th month. Okay, I speak to a lot of Democrats. They want a number. There is a number, and there's a number that's going to be agreed to. And Republicans should go out and say the following, because I think the Republicans speak very inarticulately about this subject. I watched some of them without the exceptions, et cetera, et cetera. I said, other than certain parts of the country, you're not going to win on this issue. But you will win on this issue when you come up with the right number of weeks, because Democrats don't want to be radical on the issue. Most of them, some do. They don't want to be radical on the issue. They don't want to kill a baby in the 7th month or the 9th month or after birth. And they're allowed to do that, and you can't do that.